Anyway, welcome. My name's Richard Appleyard. I'm the current president of the chapter, and wanted to welcome you to our first program, our chapter meeting of our year, our program year. So our program year starts in September and runs through till May. Precursor to our main event is to announce the 2021 CIO and CISO of the Year awards. And first off, just want to acknowledge again, we have a tremendous number of volunteers in our organization, and we had two panels of judges helping with the review of our candidates and applicants. Fred Pond is retired CIO, I believe, and paneled both of those judges groups. And we had John Pierce with Pepper Foster, was it Lutz Beck, who was last year's CIO recipient, Tim Meyer, and was it Ananthan Thandri, who was a previous recipient as well. On our CISO of the Year award, we had Brian Hall with Legacy Health, John Braden, the Weir Group, John Washburn, who was our awardee last year, Stoll Reeds, and Sean Ventura with Atmosera. So thanks again to our judges for their hard work. So do we need a drum roll?
Yeah.
So, and actually, I'm very excited with this year's awardees, and we've got our CISO of the Year award. First off goes to Christopher Paidhrin. I have actually known Christopher since my days at City of Portland, and the fantastic work he's done there in his information security officer role. Obviously, you know, the selection process is thorough and looks at a number of areas: their leadership in the organization, their leadership role in their practice, and in this case, information security, and in innovation, and also managing a security organization, and also their community and charity involvement. So, Christopher, congratulations, are well deserved, and really happy that to announce that for this year.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you to all my peers, SIM community, all of you. I am humbled by this honor, and I am emboldened to do more good. As most of you know, my mission, my mantra is to add lasting value, and this recognition affirms some measure of my efforts have been fruitful. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's great. And in fact, I think I don't know if it's the hook that we have, where we're going to have you come and present to us in our program during the year. So we really look forward to that presentation. I think is it November?
November.
But,
yep.
That will be a great presentation, and look forward to it. And the other TBD is we usually have our awardees obviously accept the award. So unfortunately, we're having to do a virtual presentation of the trophy, but you'll get that in person. And we usually host you at dinner. So I will be doing that honor again at a date to be determined, and we'll do the transfer and the photo op to capture the awarding of your crystal. So, and then next for the CIO of the Year 2021 goes to Bridget Barnes at OHSU. And actually, it's interesting. I've known Bridget a long time. In fact, she had a different name when I first met her, a different last name, I should say. So, because I worked at OHSU back in the 1990s. But very excited to have award Bridget this year's 2021 award. Again, the finalists are selected through a thorough process looking at their leadership in the organization, role in driving business and innovation, managing their IT organization, and their community and charity involvement. So congratulations, Bridget. Great to have you. And of course, you're our keynote speaker tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the honor and need to share this with all the members of our information technology group. It really is a team effort.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we'll hear more from you in a minute. All right. Well, congratulations again to both of our awardees. And again, yes, there'll be a dinner. I think last year we were able to find a time where both of you can attend, and we'll do the trophy transfer. So I'm going to turn it back to Jordan to introduce tonight's speaker.
Okay, so Bridget Barnes is our CIO of the Year Award winner recipient. Bridget is a Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, Oregon. With over 20 years of leadership experience, her career has focused on information technology, information security technology, compliance, strategic planning, and governance. As a highly collaborative leader, she brings the ability to conceptualize long-term strategies while driving direct tactical execution, eliminating barriers and driving cultural transformation. Throughout her career, she has served a variety of national organizations in advancing technology in the domain of healthcare, research, and academia. She's a certified chief information officer and has engaged in leadership, change management, and disaster response and recovery training. She embraces lifelong learning and teaching, leveraging her experience to mentor others, especially women in STEM. Personally, I know Bridget through another organization called CIO Alliance, and I've actually sat through a session with Bridget, and she shared some really interesting stories and challenging projects along the way. So I think you'll really enjoy what she has to say tonight. So congratulations, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate the award and the nice introduction. I really appreciate all of you having me here today. As I begin my talk, I'd like to encourage you to put any questions that you might have in the chat, and I'll either address those as I can through the talk or at the conclusion of the discussion. I'll spend most of my time today sharing with you the accomplishments of my team over the last 12 months, and then I'll spend some time at the end talking a little bit about my career path. We have all been uniquely tested over the last 18 months, and I'm honored to be Oregon CIO of the Year for 2021. This award truly belongs to all those that work in the information technology group at OHSU. Our team of technology professionals are deeply committed to the support of all the missions of OHSU, teaching, research, and healthcare. This is no small task, as our missions have often competing needs in serving Oregonians. A little bit about OHSU. For those of you who may not be familiar with OHSU, we are Oregon's only public academic health center. We are an institution of higher learning with schools of medicine, nursing, pharmacy, dentistry, and public health, and a network of campuses and partners throughout the state. We are a national research hub with thousands of scientists develop life-saving therapies and deeper understanding. We are a statewide economic engine and Portland's largest employer. As a public organization, we provide services for the most vulnerable Oregonians and outreach to improve health, not only in the Portland metropolitan region, but throughout the state. I'm going to talk a little bit about my team in the Information Technology Group next. With a team of about 750 technology professionals, the Information Technology Group at OHSU is responsible for keeping all traditional technology services available, and also has a responsibility for a number of non-traditional information technology functions. We are responsible for the critical liaison role between information technology and clinical users of technology through our clinical informatics division. We provide health information management services to OHSU, including the management and release of information for OHSU patients and providers. We manage academic, administrative, and clinical privacy compliance functions. We ensure that OHSU service delivery is aligned with the national and state privacy regulations like HIPAA and FERPA. In addition, we manage the OHSU Enterprise Program Management Office. This office ensures that OHSU documents our strategy and monitors performance through application of key performance indicators, including financial metrics. In the winter and spring of 2021, we led OHSU 2025 strategic planning refresh process for all missions, culminating in a plan that was presented to our board of directors in June of 2021. Finally, in the summer of 2020, we took enterprise level responsibility for OHSU Telework, the foundation for the future of flexible work at OHSU. With a named director of Telework embedded within our information technology group, we are responsible for coordination of resources across many OHSU departments: human resources, strategic communications, compliance, legal, information technology, and finance, to name a few, in order to provide the pathway and support for sustainable flexible work environment at OHSU in the years to come. In 2021, the past 12 months have been extremely challenging for all technology organizations. And as we all pivoted to new paradigms, at OHSU, we moved half of our 18,000 member workforce to complete remote work. All those that could work from home were required to do so. Provision of a secure work environment, including the individual level technology equipment required for continued operations, was necessary. OHSU was in the heat of the battle to fight COVID-19, both on the clinical as well as the research fronts, and our information technology group needed to enable those life-saving capabilities. We rapidly deployed secure networks for home users while also providing a suite of collaboration and video tools that allowed our employees to remain productive in this entirely new environment. This new environment also provided the opportunity for some OHSU employees to be redeployed to new roles instead of facing job loss. We quickly deployed virtual healthcare tools, allowing us to provide critical services to Oregonians regardless of their location. Virtual care quickly became over 30% of our ambulatory patient volume. It reached over 40 at one point in time. And it provided much needed revenue for us to continue managing the organization. We stood at mobile vans and max vaccine sites across the Portland metropolitan region to get shots in the arms of Oregonians. Those mobile vans also traveled across the state, touching our more rural areas in Oregon. We supporting their health and well-being, and also the economic recovery of Oregon. During the past year, a large focus of our information we've had a very large focus on informatics and analytics. It has been a rich asset, not only for OHSU, but also for the state as a whole. While we have long had a dedicated business intelligence and analytics team within the information technology group, we augmented that division this year to create a dedicated team specifically assigned to advanced analytics, and that is led by our resident data scientist, Dr. Peter Graven. Dr. Graven has been an invaluable resource not only to OHSU, but also to the state of Oregon in the creation of predictive models related to COVID infection and vaccination rates. Dr. Graven's predictive models have been a key component in providing guidance to the governor related to the management of economic and healthcare policy across the state during the past year. The value of Dr. Graven's work has been embraced by key stakeholders across the organization, and we are expanding his team in order to continue to demonstrate the value of advanced analytics and what that can bring to the organization and the state. Our information technology group has also partnered with GE Healthcare to develop mission control dashboards to manage hospital capacity across all OHSU health sites. OHSU on the Hill and at the South Waterfront, our Hillsborough Medical Center, and the Adventist Health Portland. These capabilities have allowed us to make sure that we have the right patients at the right facility, ensuring that those Oregonians with the highest clinical need are able to access necessary health care. We continue to expand the capabilities of mission control in order to help OHSU manage severe clinical staffing shortages by increasing the visibility related to nurse staffing, physician staffing, and how that relates to OHSU's case mix index, which is a measure of complexity of our patient diagnoses. We have also partnered with GE Healthcare and the Oregon Hospital Association to develop a statewide hospital capacity dashboard, a much needed resource, especially during a pandemic. We worked with our partners in research at OHSU to support the further development of research data warehouse in order to prepare for an analysis related to social determinants of care. This resource will not only provide the foundation for future research, but also enables us to analyze our clinical service delivery so that we can better understand the gaps in access to care in order to facilitate improved access for all Oregonians. We advanced our population health management tools in order to improve access to information for case managers so that those with chronic diseases would be more likely to receive the routine interventions when needed, improving their overall health and eliminating costly emergency room visits. In addition to the extensive work noted above related to our advanced analytics, our information technology group also worked closely with OHSU's Department of Surgery to sponsor and host the OHSU Eventathon. This was fun. We modeled after the MIT Hackathon. The objective was to sponsor an in-person event in the spring of 2020 focused on interdisciplinary collaboration to solve existing health challenges in unique ways. As you might imagine, the pandemic turned our plans upside down, and the planned in-person event had to be converted to a virtual event in a matter of a few short weeks. Many members of our information technology team worked tirelessly to learn new technologies and to provide much needed project management and communication supports for the event. We had people doing certainly things that were well outside their traditional job descriptions. What was to be a local event in the spring of 2020 turned into a virtual event in October 2020 that engaged participants from over 200 cities in 19 countries. We were able to distribute over $50,000 in cash prizes and connect entrepreneurs with venture capitalists and mentors across the country. Many of those Eventathon teams still continue to advance their projects, and we look forward to carrying this program forward in the future years. This is just a sampling of the exceptional work of OHSU's Information Technology Group over the past year. All of these accomplishments would not have been possible without the incredible talent and commitment of our people, and culture is critical. Remaining engaged with our employees was more important than ever before during the past 12 months. Everyone at OHSU was asked to give more of themselves in serving others, and it was my job to make sure that our information technology employees felt valued and supported in a time of tremendous change. In addition to the rapid shift to work from home, which caused new stresses for everyone, some of our employees were required to accept temporary reductions in salary, all while we were working harder than ever. In order to support our employees, I hosted monthly Ask Me Anything open forums. During these forums, I shared everything that I knew about what was happening at the organization and what I thought our future looked like. Employees were encouraged to submit anonymous questions so that they could ask difficult questions without fear of reprisal from peers or management. I'm proud to say that I answered all questions, admitted when I didn't know the answer, and shared very personal perspectives. In the summer of 2020, I hosted an online forum specifically dedicated to sharing stories related to the social unrest and the murder of George Floyd, creating a non-judgmental space for people to work through very difficult emotions and creating a community of awareness. This overall transparency and vulnerability has been really well accepted by our workforce. While it was personally difficult for me at times, the forums have led to innovation both inside and outside of OHSU. I honestly, when I had that the summer 2020 forum, I didn't know if anybody else was going to tell their stories. I just sort of started by telling mine and opened the door for others to share their stories. And it really was a very well received event that I think let people gave them an outlet for all the emotions that we were feeling at that particular moment in time. During the pandemic, we continued to host student interns in OHSU's Information Technology Department. While we did have to temporarily withdraw from our high school internship programs, which support skills development for those from minority communities in Portland, we were able to continue our student programs with local colleges. We were also able to advance some of these students to full-time work within the organization post-graduation. My hope is to extend these programs in the coming year to form deeper and more structured partnerships with local colleges, providing greater opportunities for all, especially women and other underrepresented minorities in the technology field. Within the information technology group, we implemented a trial program in the winter of 2021 to create a framework to support a de-biased hiring process. Utilization of this framework led to the hire of an underrepresented employee in our digital strategies division. The framework we created is now being presented to the OHSU community at large as a model that might be used by other departments within the organization. Finally, in response to recent incidents of sexual and racial harassment across the country and at OHSU, we modified our new employee orientation program to explicitly call out our interest in providing a safe for all, provide a work environment that is safe for all, especially in the information technology group. We asked management to have explicit conversations about our zero tolerance policy and to provide information about access to resources related to discrimination and harassment of any kind. The one thing I am most proud of is the way that I have worked to create an environment where our OHSU information technology employees feel appreciated and supported during a very tremendously difficult year. Our team also provides support beyond OHSU. In addition to our work at OHSU, our information technology group has a strong interest in using our privilege to support local, state, and national communities. It would be no surprise to any of you that many Portland families experienced greater financial hardship in the past 12 months than usual. Our IT organization supported multiple families via the Christmas Family Adoption Foundation in December of 2020, and also provided support for the KGW annual toy drive. In the spring of 2021, OHSU also participated in the American Heart Association's virtual Heart and Stroke Walk. OHSU was the largest fundraiser in the state, and our information technology group was the largest fundraiser among all OHSU teams. As an event sponsor, I'm proud of our support for this worthy cause, which not only supports life-saving research, but also provides heart-healthy education to all on a regular basis. OHSU and our information technology group had the unusual opportunity of supporting all Oregonians with our work to distribute COVID-19 vaccines across the state. In addition to the time on the clock, setting up systems and processes, information technology employees also donated hundreds of hours of their personal time to work at these clinics in all capacities. We became traffic monitors, patient monitors, registration specialists, and even vaccinators. We stood in asphalt parking lots in the rain and the ice and the sun to ensure that Oregonians could be safe from COVID-19 and our economy could return to normal as soon as possible. Finally, we took extraordinary measures to use our privilege to support anti-racism and the move toward inclusive language for the technology field across the world. We began this journey in the summer of 2020. This is something that came directly out of the open forum that I had related to the murder of George Floyd. We initiated a program to remove hateful and offensive language from all OHSU systems. We reviewed our intranet to ensure that offensive language such as blacklist, whitelist, master, and slave was removed from our technology lexicon. We talked to technology vendors across the country and have been successful in driving changes within those organizations to revise the technology lexicon. In more than one case, very large purveyors of technology services agreed to work with their global offices to remove racist terms from the technology lexicon within their suite of products as a direct result of our conversations. I reached out to my colleagues in academia and healthcare and asked them to join me in this fight. They readily agreed. We reached out to global standard organizations and asked them to make changes. A result of this work can be seen in the recently published NIST Inclusive Language Guide. While I'm sure that we can't take sole credit for the changes at NIST, we certainly were an early voice in the call for change, and I'm pleased to see standards organizations such as NIST having responded. We are committed to continuing this work as long as necessary to make much needed changes. Well, that's a lot. I'm hoping that a few of the key takeaways would be as follows. People first. Take care of the people you work with, listen to them, trust them, allow them to take care of themselves and the ones that they care for. Lift others up wherever and whenever you can. And mission matters. I can imagine no higher purpose than serving others. As a leader at OHSU, I have the rare privilege both to serve all OHSU members, including members of our information technology group, and also be a part of a team that is committed to improving individual lives and creating a better world for all. If you take care of the people around you and have a mission that matters, a culture is created that is truly unstoppable. And I think that OHSU has really demonstrated that this year. I'll take some time now to share with you a little bit about me and my career path. I am in my 25th year working for OHSU. I began my career at OHSU as contracts manager in the logistics department, having previously worked as a research administrator at a public health nonprofit organization. When I came to OHSU, I had just received my bachelor's degree in business administration. I am the first college student in my family to graduate, and it took me 14 years and 5 schools to obtain my bachelor's degree. I began at Clackamas Community College. Then I went to Oregon State, where I flunked out. I was not in a good place mentally or socially. I spent the next 12 years eking my way through community colleges and state colleges, and finally getting my degree through the University of Phoenix. At the time, online school was new, and frankly, some questioned whether it was a valid way to teach, and it was a valid degree. By the time I had graduated, I had 2 of my 3 daughters, so balancing priorities had already begun. I began working at OHSU in 1997 and had the opportunity while at logistics to work with an individual named Jim Williams. Jim moved from logistics to the information technology group to implement OHSU's first ERP system, Oracle, as we were becoming a public corporation and moving away from the systems provided by the state. In 1999, he asked me to join him in IT to help support the academic and research applications. Given my prior experience managing research programs, the appeal of moving from a process where we literally cut and pasted, printed, copied, reduced, and ultimately faxed 100-page grant applications was extremely appealing. At about that same time, I applied for the MBA program at Portland State University. I did not score well on the GMAT and was not accepted into the program. I went to the dean of the business school and asked him to reconsider. I didn't want to do this, embarrassing, right? But I was encouraged by my partner who had just been accepted into the program. The dean told me that he would consider my application if I passed a graduate level class that fall, statistics. Oh, that was torture to hear, and it certainly was not my strong suit. I enrolled in the class and failed. I enrolled again the next term and passed, and was granted permission to start the MBA program the next cohort. After my first year in the MBA program, I began taking electives in engineering and technology management. I figured that if I was going to be managing technology, I should know a little bit more about it. By this time, I had 3 young girls, and my partner and I were tag teaming as he was in his MBA classes Monday and Wednesday nights, and I was in my classes Tuesdays and Thursday. It was a busy time, but we made it through, and I completed my MBA in 2002 and my Master's of Science in Engineering Management in 2003. After graduation, I continued taking graduate level courses in the Department of Engineering and Technology Management, working toward my PhD slowly. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. As we continued our ERP journey at OHSU, I was asked to take increasing levels of responsibility. At one point, Jim Williams, who I mentioned earlier, left OHSU to start his own company. I asked for his job and was granted an interim role. This was after I had been told confidentially that I wasn't likely to be the best candidate for the permanent position. Candidly, that just made me mad, and I took a "I'll show you" stance. I can be stubborn and don't like to be told no, and really don't like to be told what I can't do. Well, it worked out, and I was granted the permanent role eventually. A couple of years later, the CIO left, and I asked for that job. I was appointed interim, but not permitted to apply for the job. I was told I wasn't qualified, which was probably true. They were really looking for a healthcare CIO, and I knew next to nothing about healthcare technologies, having grown up on the administrative, research, and academic side of the house. I went to the web and I began searching for places where I could learn how to become a healthcare CIO. I developed an action plan for myself that identified key skills that I needed to learn and key relationships that I needed to build. I was a deer in the headlights and had the privilege of a few key mentors, experienced CIOs in healthcare and academia that were willing to help me learn. At this time, I also withdrew from the PhD program. I had too much on my plate at work, and I had family matters that required my attention. I just couldn't do it all, and so I had to step away. That first CIO search failed, and a new search began. I was allowed to apply, but was told again that I was likely not the best candidate. They made an offer to another candidate who declined the job, and after 2 years as interim and 2 failed searches, they gave up and finally gave me the job. Since that time, the IT organization has continued to grow. When I took the job in 2007, there were about 350 employees in IT, and we now have 750 and will reach 800 by the end of the calendar year as we fill all of our open positions. The organization has grown a bit each year. As opportunities presented themselves, I always said yes. One of those opportunities was moving information privacy and security from compliance at OHSU to information technology in 2016. OHSU had been fined and put on a corrective action fine by the Office of Civil Rights as a result of 2 breaches that occurred in 2013 and 2014, a lost laptop that contained protected health information, and students that were using a free cloud-based service to share information about their clinical rotations without having a business associate agreement in place as required for protected health information. As this unfolded, our Chief Information Security Officer left, our Chief Privacy Officer left, as well as our Chief Integrity Officer. They all left OHSU, and I was asked to take responsibility to prepare a response to the corrective action plan. This required effectively building an entire new program to support the information and privacy and security at OHSU. I said yes, and I knew I had a lot to learn. At this point in time, I returned to the Engineering and Technology Department to pick up my PhD work again with a revised focus on information security, 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm pleased to say that I was recently awarded my PhD after developing an information security maturity model for healthcare organizations. And I'd also like to take a moment to share with you the very warm and supportive environment that I always felt in Portland State University's Engineering and Technology Management Department. They're an incredibly diverse group of individuals, from the faculty to the students. They are incredibly supportive of one another. Many of those people the students have come from other countries, moved their families here. And I can't imagine a better place to learn and grow. Other moves and changes in ITG in recent years were the movement of clinical informatics and health information management from our Chief Medical Officer to IT, really aligning more with the technology needs of the organization. We provide IT support to our health partners across the state. We created an OHSU program management office, as well as a home for a centralized program for our distributed work program at OHSU. All of these transitions were both opportunistic and built on solid relationships that took years to develop. In terms of motivation, I was not purposeful in my path to the job of CIO. For years and years, I just wanted the next job, whatever that was. That feeling really dissipated when I became CIO. I feel exceedingly lucky to be able to say I truly love my job. There is always a new challenge. There's a new problem to solve. There's a way to do things better, and there are opportunities to lift others up. The morals of my story are: you can do anything if you want to, if you're willing to suck up your ego, ask for help, and work hard, persevere when needed, say yes whenever you can, build trusted partnerships, acknowledge the work of others, luck favors the well-prepared, and give back often. That's my talk today. I'd like to thank you again for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I don't see any in the chat, so you can either put them in the chat or you can just speak up and ask me questions. First question: will you be making the updated process around improving hiring underrepresented group available publicly? We can, sure. I mean, it was a test run. I'd be happy to share that process with this group if you'd like. Maybe actually we could even talk about it at a future, seminar or something, whatever you like.
Bridget, Sabi here. First of all, thank you for such an inspiring story. And, I could very well relate to your story, looking at the next job and going on, and then a similar background with ETM, right? I'm also a graduate of ETM. So thank you for, sharing about ETM department, all the great work which they're doing. So thank you again for coming today and giving such an inspiring story today. It really touched my heart.
Thank you, Sabi.
Hey there, Bridget. Brandon Gatke again. Congratulations, Bridget.
Hey, Brandon.
All right.
Thank you.
So, I would love to hear, I mean, you've covered a lot of different ground and a lot of different areas, which is just very impressive for you and your team. One of the things I'd love to hear is, what do you see as probably the biggest thing, the next couple of big things we as IT leaders should continue to focus on? We've talked about, there's a section, there's a question in the chat about how to increase underrepresented groups, which you already answered. There's how do we continue to move the bar forward for equity and inclusion. And also, we are in a security-minded world right now. So what do you see if you have a crystal ball? I'd love to hear it.
I think you have to juggle all those things. I talked about a lot of things, and I think it's because I think they're all important. And I really sort of go back to the people and being able to be very transparent and talk about the things that aren't working well or the things that you want to do better. I mean, I trip all the time, right? I mean, we all make mistakes, and if you just sort of acknowledge that you're on this path to continued optimization, whether it's around increasing diversity in your organization or whatever it happens to be, having those conversations frequently and listening to the different perspectives really can drive change. So, for example, I shared with you the work that we did with the hurtful language, the technology lexicon. That came from a specific, that comment was not a brainchild of me. That was a comment that came from a member of my IT team that said, I'm just frustrated that we still, in that public forum, I'm frustrated that we still see references to whitelist and blacklist. And it just, you pick up on those opportunistic moments and listen to your people, and you can rally around those moments to drive change. So as long as you make yourself present, I think that's really important, especially in this time when we're virtual and we don't see people face to face. And most of you don't know me very well. I'm truly an introvert. I would, stay in my room all day if I could. And so it's challenging for me to sort of push myself to have those conversations. I get very nervous, but I think it really matters to show your authentic character to those that you work with. In terms of technology strategies specifically, I really do think that analytics is our future. I think you have to I am wary. I wouldn't tell you what to do, but I am wary when people want to talk about machine learning or AI, and they just want to sprinkle that into all their solutions, and really understanding and being able to communicate the practical application of those tools, as well as the fallacies that can be embedded that you need to be aware of as you consider those. Rolling those technologies forward, but we will have to use those analytics and advanced technologies, including things like RPA is another. It was a buzzword. I think it's becoming robotic process automation. It's becoming more real to me now, and I wonder if there are ways, especially in and I'm a skeptic again, kind of. I'm on the show me side of things. I wonder if there are ways that utilization of RPA might be able to help us with some of the challenges that we are bound to face in sourcing technology talent. It is going to be, it is an entirely new world for all of us in terms of making sure that we can acquire, retain talent. And that's another reason why I think mission matters. Being able to have your employees feel satisfied in the organization that they're supporting, feel good about the work of that organization, so that it isn't so easy for them to hop from one job to another. And then finally, you brought up information security, which is one of my pets. And thank you, Brandon. He helped with my research, so I really appreciate that. I think it's ever changing, and it is more people focused in so many ways than again technology focused, and that's probably a common theme with me. I'm not a technologist I didn't start as a coder. I did that isn't the foundation of my career. I really think my career was based on relationship building, understanding translating technology to non-technology terms, and bringing people together. So helping people understand how those information security threats are very personal to their ability to work day in and day out, and that it really is a systematic crime network at this point. It's not, somebody working in their basement trying to see what they can do. It really is a threat that needs to be taken seriously. And I actually, for a couple of years, have really been thinking that we really need to do a better job as a nation, quite frankly. It's so difficult and next to impossible for many organizations to do what they need to stand up secure environments for the conduct of their business, whether you're a sheriff's office or a small hospital, whatever it happens to be. It's an impossible task to keep your environment secure. So we need to, number one, lean on each other, be willing to share information about what's working, what's not working within our own environments, form those communities is key from my perspective. And number two, leverage or send messages to our federal government that we need their help. I think about it as it relates to the infrastructure bill, that we really need to invest in deterring our information security risk.
Thank you.
Hi, Bridget. This is Lisa Harper. I have a couple of questions for you. First, you talked about a personal action plan that you put together, in your career building days. You said you identified some skills, and then what you needed to do to kind of beef up those particular skills, and then who you might want to meet in order to kind of build on that. Can you tell me how you went about identifying for yourself at the get-go what skills you were lacking or where you needed to build out? How did you figure that out? And then secondly, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Secondly, I was just going to ask you, when you talk about your employees and your team and making sure that they know they're valued and heard, can you give some specifics about some of the things you might do on a daily to help your people feel that way? So I know
Sure.
that's a lot, sorry.
Okay, I'll tackle the first one and the second one. So in terms of developing the plan, Google was my friend. I started by searching for healthcare CIO and went to see what came up, right? So that was sort of my first run. And I found a great organization called CHIME, which is the leadership division for it's called the College of Health Information Management Executives is what the acronym stands for. And it is is the executive level of the HIMSS organization, Health Information Management Systems Society, if I've got that right.
Right.
So they had, at the time, they had some trainings that were available. And I just sort of looked at the content of some of the trainings, and it talked about, I needed to learn about healthcare regulations. I didn't know anything about healthcare regulations. I needed to learn about healthcare technologies. I didn't know anything about, imaging technologies, who the vendors were, what that looked like. I needed to make partnerships with the various leaders in healthcare across OHSU. The way that we're structured at OHSU is there really is sort of a line that we are always trying to battle against, that is the university, which is traditionally thought of as academic and research, and the healthcare mission. And so while we're one university, there's always a tension between the two, and they have distinct leadership structures. And so I was well positioned on the university side, and I knew some of the people on the healthcare side because we did provide the administrative support tools that they used. But I needed to develop those relationships deeper. So what it looked like is I do everything in Excel. So I just created a little Excel spreadsheet, and I sort of identified I think it was seven, I can't even remember what it was. So something like 7 key principles, the things that I needed to learn about. And then I identified sources, and it was either training that I could go attend. I applied for a scholarship to go to the Chime Leadership Forum development program that they had at the time. And I was able to get that scholarship and go to their training. I signed up to help with the development of the inaugural CHCIO certification exam. And by doing that, I was able to I was able to research and learn the different kinds of things that you needed to know to be a successful healthcare CIO. So I volunteered. And then I also, on my spreadsheet, sort of had, I like I said, I'm an introvert, so it was something I had to make myself do to go out and physically meet with people. So I developed a list of all the people that I needed to talk to and a regular cadence schedule for going out and talking with them. And then I just sort of worked the plan for 2 years and continue to do so. I continue to be involved in those organizations like Chime and other organizations. And then I also had a great group, NWAC, Northwest Academic Computing Consortium. Brandon's a member as well. That is a group of CIO peers that were, again, very welcoming and very willing to share information. I think one of the things that's lovely about that academic community, and it was a little bit different, I think healthcare's less this way, although they become more. The academics really, they don't really, while they compete with one another, they readily share best practices. There aren't any sort of tensions like I think you might have if you were, Ford trying to talk to Mercedes or something like that. There really is this sort of philosophy of sharing best practices and information and education. And so they're a great sounding board and really helped me develop as well.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you ask for help, people will help. I mean, I am pleased to mentor others. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there. And then regarding, motivating and making people feel connected. So it is shocking how much those monthly, it's like every 4 to 6 weeks, those ITG, we call them our ITG leadership Q&As are. People comment about them regularly, and I'm not doing anything except for what I did today with you here. I talk about welcome them all, thank them for their work, pick anywhere from 6 to 20. It's a pretty large organization, but pick 6 to 20 projects or people and be specific about what you're thanking them for, and thank them in front of everybody. Share what you know and what you don't know, and even how you feel about institutional policies to the best of your ability. I always start with, I'm telling you today exactly what I know to the best of my knowledge. It may change tomorrow, but this is the story today because things have a tendency to change fast, especially in today's world. And then, be willing to answer hard questions and questions that you'll get over and over and over again. When I first started doing these, I actually started doing these right actually when I took the CIO job, because I had to make some very difficult HR changes at the time. Within the first month, I think, where I was interim, I was told I had to cut my budget 20%. It was right at going into the economic the Great Recession. And we lost our tort cap with the state. So there was just a lot of risk and a lot of extra expense at OHSU. So, I mean, I'm, a month into the job, I was actually on vacation. I get a call from my new boss saying, I want a plan by Wednesday. I'm all,
no.
So that's when I started the Q&As, because I knew I had to talk. I knew I had to talk about it, because if you don't talk and share what you know, even if it's incomplete information, rumors are going to swirl and truths are going to unfold. And it's better to, speak your truth and know that not everybody's going to like it. It is what it is. But at least they know who you are and know what to expect. And quite frankly, then they can make choices about if they want to be part of that organization or not. So that's sort of the way that they're structured. And so, I mean, we used to get, there was a period of time for like 18 months, I swear every single day I get a question about dress code and whether or not people could wear jeans or, whatever.
Yeah.
it finally actually became, I mean, this joke, right? And then there'll be, there are real legitimate concerns, especially through the pandemic. Right now, I mean, the huge hotspot that I know I'll have to deal with, I've got my next session on the 23rd, is the requirement, the vaccine mandate at OHSU. We are requiring our employees to have a vaccine or have a medical or a religious exemption. And there are some very unhappy campers about that situation. But we are taking that position as a principal position, as a leader in a public health organization at OHSU. It is, we believe in science, we promote science. When people don't have the vaccine, it is causing our hospitals to be so full that literally we are beyond capacity, as every hospital is in this state. And we're making decisions about whether or not we can take a stroke patient, whether or not we can take trauma patients. It's terrible. And there are consequences as a result of where we are with COVID vaccination. So.
Wow, that's tough. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the very thorough response. That was great. Thank you for the wonderful information.
Sure.
So Bridget, I have a question. You mentioned the challenge that you see in talent acquisition and retention. Can you just share a little bit about what you see as the challenges facing CIOs and IT organizations?
Well, I think people can work wherever they want to now. And, I had just today, I learned about one of my most talented employees that we have been grooming for a management position, hoping, he's just brilliant, technically brilliant, knows how to talk to people. And he took a job making $40,000 more than I can offer him. I mean, my hands are tied, and I feel like we actually are able to pay pretty well at OHSU. There are lots of other organizations that can't, and they're just being gobbled up from the tech companies. Plus, I mean, technology proliferates. There's just going to be more and more of it. So, I mean, one of the reasons why I really want to focus on developing our own technology professionals by partnering with community colleges, high schools, universities to help develop that talent. There are also some challenges that we have specifically that others might not, related to our union environment. We're a union shop. And so that means that there are very strict guidelines that we have to follow in order to hire folks. So another example I would share with you is I have a very young information security professional who is not a college graduate. She came over as a student intern, and she passed. We're hiring information security professionals right now, trying to look at positions. And so one of the things we do is we prepare a test for people to become finalists for the application. She passed the test, thank goodness. But now I've got to figure out how I can work with my HR department and others across the university to find a home that fairly compensates her for her talent, even though she doesn't meet the 10 years and a 4-year academic degree that are currently required on the position description. So we just are going to have to get more creative about how we do that.
Yeah, and with the challenges and the market demand, obviously organizations have to find ways to be more nimble and get it done because people don't wait around for opportunities much, because opportunities everywhere. So thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Okay, any more questions for Bridget? Bridget, I don't know if I should call you Dr. Bridget now, Bridget Barnes. But,
Dr. Mama, that's what we call me in my house.
But we really appreciate your time this evening.
I love that.
You've got a lot of stories to share. We love it. And I think if there are other questions later on, please send it to me, and I'll make sure I relay it back to Bridget But again, congratulations for being the recipient for the 2021 CIO of the Year Award. So I appreciate your willingness to share some of your stories tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. And if you do have questions, I'm barnesbr@ohsu.edu. You can send them to me directly as well.
Sure. Thank you. Richard?
Okay. Fantastic. So yes, just to kind of close out the evening, I wanted to thank Bridget. It's great to see you again. I've actually enjoyed reconnecting with you and our other awardee, Christopher, who I think may have had to drop off, but and then yes, we'll have our upcoming programs. Please, if you want to get involved, I encourage you to reach out. You can always contact simpdx@simpdx.org, and that will get routed to the right person. But please get involved. We've got a lot of exciting stuff going on. It's challenging times, as I mentioned at the beginning, with COVID, but it's exciting to see the online environment continue to provide a way for us to connect, even with the pandemic and the extended pandemic. So with that, I think we're a wrap.